tonight's hearing of the Tuscaloosa Historic Preservation Commission. I'm Kathy Pagani. I'm the chair of the commission, and I would like, and today's date is December 13th, 2023. The time is 5 o'clock p.m. I'd like to invite my fellow commission members to introduce themselves to you, beginning on my right, please.
Mary Harmon Young.
William Edwards.
Jordan Morris.
Matt McCool.
Sally Davis.
And joining us from city staff this evening, we have Mr. Chad Hobbs, who's the Associate City Attorney, Mr. Hudson Cheshire, the Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Emily Hayes, Associate Director of Planning, Ms. Haley Webb, Development Review Coordinator, and assisting with audiovisual support this evening is Kevin Jones. I'd like to begin by reviewing the statement of purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission and going over a little bit of tonight's proceedings, and let the record show that Mr. Cox has just joined the hearing. The general purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission is that we serve to preserve and protect the buildings, sites, and structures of historic significance in Tuscaloosa's historic neighborhoods. We are governed by Chapter 20, Article 2 of the Code of Tuscaloosa, which includes design guidelines that are posted on the city's website. Our decisions are based on these design guidelines and do not consider use or occupancy. We do consider such factors as architectural style, appropriateness of materials, and how the structure relates to other structures in the immediate neighborhood in determining the appropriateness of an application. Approval of an application requires 5 affirmative votes. If the certificate is approved, please be aware that there will be a final inspection by city staff of approved applications to ensure compliance with what was approved by the commission this evening. This is a public hearing. It is televised live on local cable, streamed online through Facebook and YouTube, and is being recorded to be posted on the city's website. We ask for proper decorum, civility, and respect for others at all times. Prior to this meeting, notice was sent to adjacent property owners, and the public has been notified of the applications to be presented tonight. This hearing is a chance for the applicant to present their case, for the public to make their views known about the project, and for the commission members to gather relevant facts about the application before making its decision. We will begin with city staff introducing the application. The applicant will then have a chance to make any comments. The commission members will then have an opportunity to ask the applicant questions about the case. I will then open the hearing to public comment. At the close of public comment, the commission will then discuss the matter and vote on the application. Any person wishing to speak on behalf of another person, group, or entity shall provide written authorization to the chairperson from that person, group, or entity being represented. Immediate family members, and we define that as a spouse, a parent, or a child, do not have to provide such written authorization when speaking on behalf of another immediate family member. We ask that you please leave the signs in your yard. City staff will be out in the next couple of days to pick them up. So let's move on with this evening. As the commissioners have received a synopsis of the previous meeting, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the same unless there are any deletions, additions, or corrections. Do I have a motion to approve the said synopsis?
Yes.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. We will begin voting. Let's begin on my left, please. Dr. Davis.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much. The commission members have had a chance to review tonight's agenda items. Do any of the members have a conflict of interest as defined by Section 6 of the commission bylaws with any of these items? All right, great. Hearing none, let's move on. I would like to ask staff if proper notification has been provided for the agenda items.
It has.
Thank you very much. And we will now move on to presenting the applications for this evening.
Good evening, Commission. So HPC 5123 has been withdrawn. So we'll start with our first case to be heard tonight, HPC 5323. Quarter Real Estate is petitioning for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a parking lot on the property located at 1306 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property. It's on the corner, or kind of in this little triangle between Queen City and Almond Avenue. So here is just that vicinity. Here's a view of that building. And the proposal is to construct a new parking lot. The parking lot will be one way from Almond Avenue to Queen City. The parking lot will be made of concrete and brick pavers, and the applicant did receive ZBA approval from the landscape requirements last month. So here's that existing area. It's unimproved today. Just give you a few pictures of those. And here's that proposed plan. This has been approved. The applicant worked with our city engineer, and the engineering office is okay with the way that this has laid out, with drainage, with the travel as you're going from. That was kind of the agreement of making this a one-way and a ride-out only onto Queen City. Do you have any questions for staff?
Are there any questions? Right.
We'll just kind of go through. So we do have the material spec sheet of those pavers so that you can see what that is going to look like. I'll just go back to that. The petitioner is here.
And so you don't know the concrete versus the big brick pavers for that parking area?
So I'll let the applicant talk about it a little
Thank
bit more.
All right. Any other questions for city staff? Thank you very much. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up to the podium, please. And if you don't mind, could you please state your name and address for the record?
Gladly. Brock Quarter, 1307 25th Avenue. Thank you guys for hearing our case tonight. As you've seen, staff did a good job kind of showing what we're proposing. We have about 5,000 square feet of additional space left in the old Sam Jackson building that is not leased yet. We are close to signing 2 leases that we believe will be good uses for the area and be complementary to the residents in that area. The parking is not required for us to have here for those tenant build-outs. It's not a requirement, but we are trying to make sure we try to keep as much parking off of the street as possible. There is street parking in the area, as I'm sure you're aware, and we feel like this would benefit the area more than hurt the area to have some off-site parking. So I believe you had a question, Madam Chairwoman, about the location of the pavers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just wanted to know the concrete versus the pavers, if you can just outline that for us.
Sure. Is this, yeah. Did I just touch it? Okay. So basically the pavers are pervious pavers to allow drainage to go into an underground stone detention basin so we don't create any drainage issues in the area. But the pavers would sit on top of that, and the general area that the engineers identified is this area right here. That would be the location approximately of the stone pavers.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification. I wasn't sure if there was going to be a pattern or something else done with concrete versus pavers, but these pavers are purely to provide drainage.
Well, and they're aesthetic as well,
Yep.
but their primary function is that the site drains to my right. It'd be, I don't know how, I guess it'd be your right too. And so as the water drains toward Queen City, we need a pervious surface so that it can get into the actual detention.
Are there other questions for Mr. Corder? Well, it appears we have none at the moment,
Okay.
so if you don't mind having a seat, and
All right, thank you.
if we have questions, I'll bring you back. Have we received any public comment on this case? Let me open the floor to public comment then. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Jean Poynton. I live at 1220 Queen City Avenue. My house is just back there, and parking is already getting to be a massive problem with building these condos, everywhere. And of course, we're getting more and more students, so I totally support parking.
Thank you, we appreciate that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in support of or opposition to this application? All right, let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor to a discussion, questions, motion, by commission members? Appears fairly straightforward. I like the idea of how they're working with the drainage. I think that's an important consideration here. Aesthetically, it's fine, the materials are fine.
Given the current state of that area, I'd see it as an improvement, particularly the function of the additional parking.
You know, we do have some guidelines that typically limit where parking goes, and we don't like to see a big area of street front parking, but this is the only logical solution for these businesses on this odd parcel, so it makes sense.
Good.
I would add that I'm happy to see the vegetation buffer on both sides of the parking lot, because that too will help for drainage, which is a problem in the area.
Yes, good observation. And, you know, we've seen the building come to us in the past, and the renovation of that building is quite nice. So this is just adding to that. So we do have a standing motion to approve HPC 5323 TBG 2 LLC and Quarter Real Estate Incorporated petition for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a parking lot on the property located at 1306 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. Voting, on my right, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Mr. Carter, your application has been approved. Should anything change, please see city staff before you proceed, and good luck with the project. And let the record show that Dr. Nelson has joined the hearing.
Okay, we'll move on to our next case, HPC 5423, Martin Sprock petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for an extension on the time limitation to keep the temporarily installed emergency features on the primary structure located at 1917 University Boulevard in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property. This is the old Hooligans location downtown. And here's a view of that structure today. The proposal is to keep the temporary features, and in order to do this, the property owner was offered 2 routes of options to maintain it, requesting for an extension for the temporary repairs or submit an application for permanent repairs. After city staff received no response from the property owner, a request for an extension to keep the temporary features was placed on this month's HPC docket. So these next few photos are going to show you exactly what those temporary features are. So they have been placed on the existing doors and windows. It's just material to keep those covered. This was something that the property owner worked with the building department for to maintain building code on these. The applicable design guidelines, emergency features are allowed to be installed for a maximum of 6 months, and at that time, it can either be replaced with in-kind reconstruction or a certificate of appropriateness. Do you have any questions for staff?
I take it the gravamen of what we're doing is if it's not extended, then they are in a position where they need to bring it in compliance with otherwise appropriate maintenance, et cetera.
Correct. And I will remind the commission, so this property was approved last year for the demolition and reconstruction. It's just that approval did expire. And so at this point, it's either they remain and keep these emergency features, or they must come forward with a new application to bring it in compliance.
And you did not get a response from the property owner, or did you last minute? And
We did last minute receive some contact from the owner who said that it was actually the business owner. He said he wasn't aware of any communication that had been done over the past few months. They do have some plans in works, and actually Evans Fitz, who's the architect on the project, is here to represent the case and talk about that.
Any other questions for staff?
Talk to me about, they said that they had not received any communication.
They did. They said that was the first they had heard of it last week. They reached out to Mr. Jonathan Bowen and said they hadn't received any of the communication. They were copied on the emails.
So you're telling me they reached out to you to say that they had not heard anything?
Correct. We do have the emails to the individual that reached out, but yes, unfortunately.
But that was the business owner, not the property owner? Is that what you're saying?
We have been emailing both the property owner and the business owner, multiple different communications over the past few months.
All right, and so just so that I'm clear, when we invite Mr. Fitz to join us, he is representing which entity?
He is going to be representing, so the property owner and the business owner are tied in together. They have been working together.
All right.
They just are a little bit on the miscommunication of not really talking with each other at this
All
point.
right, that's
Yes.
awesome. All right, any other questions? Let me invite then the applicant's representative to please step up to the podium, and we'll need you to state your name and your address for the record, please.
Evans Fitz, I'm with Fitz Architects. We're located at 817 Allman Avenue. I have a tale of woe to tell you.
You don't have to tell us all of it.
I won't tell you all of it, I'll be brief. I presented a project to you last year, a long time ago, and this was kind of a tough project. I was thankful that we got it approved. I thought it was a pretty fun project. I had been working with Martin Sprock is the owner of the property. He's the owner, they're kind of a restaurant group, and I had been dealing with one of his lieutenants, was my contact. I'd never met Martin Sprock. And he's got a couple of lieutenants. But anyway, we got approved, and Martin took a look at the drawings and didn't like them. So I have stepped away from the project. I'm not the design architect anymore. But I did, and I've been dealing now with a second lieutenant, or second gentleman from that point moving forward. And I said, you know, I'll help y'all get through the HPC and get through city approvals, but I'm not spending any more time on this other than that. And that's fine. Well, a couple of months ago, they did show me a rendering of something of what they wanted to do, and I said, no, this is horrible. I'm not presenting this. So that's where we are. Is they are they're working on a building, and I'm told them I would try and steer them in the right direction.
So Mr. Fitz, let me ask you this. To get this project moving forward in a productive way, what do you want? What do they want?
What do they want?
Yes. What kind of an extension are we looking at here?
I'm not sure. I think it's still going to be a while before they have anything to present.
And here's where I'm going with this. You know, to move this along and get this property worked on. It's been sitting looking like this for a while. I understand about the emergency installation because that property had some problems and it was necessary to do that. And you want to end up with the best design possible for the site since it's downtown, major thoroughfare. Thing is, we can't let this go on forever. And we do need to get them back to the commission so we can get this property, you know, sort of moved along.
Absolutely.
So, you know, what the commission can do is we can say to them, we will extend this, not indefinitely. I'm thinking, commission members, I'm thinking a couple of months, and that they come before the commission in February. This is what our condition would be on this.
That's probably pretty fast. They'd have to be done in January with the package.
Well, all right, thinking out loud, because we do want to get a strong proposal here, but they've got to get moving on this.
Right.
What if it's the 2 months extension, they're working on it, it comes to the March hearing? I don't want to get into big negotiations with this. I also don't want, I want us to get the best possible product, but they've got to get moving on this.
Yeah, I agree. There needs to be a timeline, but realistically, I don't know if it's going to happen, if they can get it done that quick.
What is your feeling on this?
Well,
One, you counter my offer.
Let's shoot for the April meeting. So that'll give them a good solid 3 months to get something taken care of.
I'm okay. Mr. Cox?
I'm a no vote.
Okay.
I think that this returns to the city.
Any other thoughts?
What does that mean, returns to the city?
But this, as I understand it, the next the next thing that would occur is the city would issue some sort of a citation or request that the property be remedied, and that the owner would then need to respond to that, including by presenting an application for a certificate of appropriateness.
City staff, can you weigh in on this for a second?
So essentially, that portion of the code, the reason as to why these temporary features were installed was that portion of the code specifically. That this was something that was remedied with our building department to bring it to a standard that it wouldn't be considered condemnable. At this point, these things that they have done, the building department is satisfied that this building doesn't need to be condemned. So the only remedy truly at this point would be to bring it to the HPC for a certificate of appropriateness to either maintain these features or for a new application. It's something that is now back to, because it's really up to the city's building code at this point.
But it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the next thing, if this application is denied, that the city would serve some sort of notice on the property owner, letting them know that they're in violation of the historical preservation guidelines, that they need to bring their property up to a better state of repair.
But, I mean, what would that be like? What are you expecting to happen there? I mean, the building, one option is to go ahead and tear the building down.
I guess my feeling is that it sounds like it was always understood that this was going to be temporary, and that 6 months have gone by, and I just don't think that adding additional time is likely to create the movement we want. I think that denying the extension is more likely to do so. I could be wrong about that.
Well, and in denying the extension, we then have to decide right now what's going on, right, with denying the extension.
I mean, if you're going to deny the extension, what that means is that you're wanting to essentially put this case into a pure enforcement posture, and at that point, it would be turned over to basically the buildings division for them to handle in conformance with their code. I'm not going to try to speak to what that code says or what would happen next from there, but that's where it would be. I hear what Mr. Fitz is saying about the time situation that they're in. If you're looking for an alternative path that maybe gives gives everybody a little bit of what they want. If the commission is inclined towards, Madam Chair, you mentioned a 2-month extension or something along those lines. Maybe the commission might want to consider giving a 2-month extension of the time for the temporary measures, and then have the case reset in a direction to staff to reset the case on the February meeting agenda, understanding that the owner may not be able to present a certificate of appropriateness at that time, but essentially have, Mr. Cox, a status conference to say, okay, where are we, and what progress has been made, and what's the timeline going to look like from here?
I think that's a reasonable way to proceed, especially at Christmas.
Well, I'm still thinking about a 2-month extension, so they can come up with a plan. I don't want them to just keep coming back to us where we're kind of kicking this can down the road. You know, this can't go on forever, and I know, Mr. Fitz, you're just here as their spokesperson. and you're not working actively on the project, but they just need to understand the seriousness of this. We gotta get moving. And giving them a good 2 months to work on it would mean, with deadlines and things, it would mean the March meeting. Because to meet the February meeting, they just have the month of January. And that's not, I don't think, gives them enough time, because we want to look at quality work. We don't want to waste the public's time, our time, if we're seeing something that's just half-baked. I don't know how the other commission members feel about that, but I'd rather, what difference will 1 more month make if we can get a stronger proposal?
I personally think that in February, we will be in a very good position to hear from the owner, hopefully, about the good faith efforts that are being made to progress this along, the status, the concrete steps that have been taken between this meeting and either the February or the March meeting, such that we can know whether this is something that just needs to go to enforcement or not.
Well, I like the idea of March meeting. All right, as tight as it might be, it may be a situation that Mr. Cox describes where the owner or the owner's representative is here talking about more of a status thing and the steps that are being taken, giving us a more concrete idea. I would rather have something more concrete on that, that we have a certificate of appropriateness to take a look at the project for that site. But I'd like to know what my colleagues are thinking at this point.
What I'm thinking is that it's on probably the most prominent street in the city. It has a lot of foot traffic. In front of it, beside it, behind it. It is an eyesore, and presumably it could be dangerous. So, and they've had a year.
So what do you propose?
Sorry?
What do you propose? What do you think?
I would be happy with, say, 2 months to give a good faith effort. I don't think I'd be in favor of much more than that.
So what if we did, gave them 2 months to work on this? And they are here before us in March with something concrete. And I know it's not your job to do the work, but if you can convey the seriousness of this to those people involved, because, as Dr. Davis says, it really is an eyesore. Those concrete blocks, too, are looking rather dangerous as well. They've been kicked over and, a number of things there. It's been sitting for a while, but they really do need to get a move on with this.
I'll say, frankly, that I think I'm not sure that when a property owner ignores something that's temporary for 6 to 12 months, doesn't communicate with staff, claims to have not heard anything, doesn't show up, sends an architect who they may not even be paying anymore, and then we voluntarily, on our own initiative, grant them a 3-month extension, I'm not sure that conveys the seriousness of the situation. And that's why I would be inclined to at least rein it in tighter, if not just deny the motion and let them see what happens.
Well, if we deny the motion for the temporary thing, we have to come up with a replacement in kind of reconstruction, right? If their extension is denied, what are our options here?
Well, if the commission denies the extension, then they're out of time on the temporary measures. At that point, it would be turned over to the buildings division for them to handle whatever, to take, whatever enforcement steps would be appropriate from there. I don't know
Right.
offhand what.
So therefore, the commission still will not be seeing any kind of movement forward on this property that falls under our purview for some time later.
And to be frank, based on my understanding historically of condemnation proceedings and other buildings of this, in this state, around the city, that takes a long time.
Interesting point. I do think our best course of action is for us to work more proactively with them and get this going, because we need to see the plan eventually. And I understand, I'm completely in sync with your thoughts, Mr. Cox, absolutely. I'm thinking more in the bigger picture of the moving this thing along and getting it going, because I do think if we start moving the building people, that's going to take some time, and then we still have not seen what's going to happen to that property. That's not getting it any faster to us. Correct? So we still affect the change that we want.
What are we defining as something concrete? Is that a certificate of appropriateness?
Yes. So they came to us, I believe you were on the commission at the time, with a proposal for really a demolition and a reconstruction on that site. And we talked a lot about that thing. It was approved, but they have changed their mind on that design. And so now we would be seeing a new design on that site. We need this taken care of, folks, right? And we need to see something appropriate going into its place. I think 2 months is pretty quick. I think that does send a message, I really do. And then they come back to us with something concrete in a public forum that everybody will see. So we want it to be good.
For clarity, I don't know that I've ever been a part of actually setting a date for them to come back as far as wording goes. How does that need to look like or sound like?
I think we just say we grant the extension with the provision that they get their materials in their certificate, their application for a certificate of appropriateness in the hands of city staff for the March meeting, whatever the deadline is for that March meeting. They have to meet that deadline, so it will be heard here for that March meeting.
Well, the agenda states that the petition is for a certificate of appropriateness for an extension of the time limitations to keep the temporarily installed emergency features on this structure.
Right.
So
Right.
I would say that the motion would be qualifying said time extension for whatever the period of time is that we would agree upon, which it's sounding like is headed toward the March 13th, 2024 meeting.
Right, and the deadline for that is February 21st. That's around the corner. How does that sound to everybody?
So Kathy, if they don't make it by February 21st, does city automatically on the 22nd start to take some kind of action, or does it wait until it comes back to us the second week of March?
They will be coming to us. They must come to us.
But if they fail to submit something by the 21st, what happens? Does it still put off 3 weeks?
I believe what would happen procedurally at that point is if nothing is submitted whatsoever, if the owner or the developer doesn't take any action, then the extension would expire, and then the process would go forward from there on the enforcement side. If they do submit a package, or if there's some reason why they're not able to, meet the deadline for a fully developed certificate of appropriateness, then it would be incumbent on them to come back before the commission at the March meeting and explain where they are and why they need an additional extension of time. Does that make sense?
Does. Dr. Nelson, how's that? How is everybody with that?
I think the outcome that we're looking for is that we receive an application that has something in it to consider that hopefully can be approved, that we aren't headed toward some form of denial and headed back in that direction. And so we're giving them the opportunity to make that happen.
Well, the way I'm sort of setting this up is I want the applicant to be successful in this. So, but not letting it drag on too long. Hence, the 2 months of working on this, they've been thinking about it for a while. Let's get them moving on this, and they come before us for the March meeting with the February 21st deadline for that meeting. And then we handle that. Sound like a plan, folks? All right? Okay. So Like, we, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Fitz? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, did we have any submitted public comment? Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Then let me close the floor to public comment. And we essentially have a standing motion to approve. Let me go through this. HPC 5423, Martin Sprock petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for an extension of the time limitation to keep the temporarily installed emergency features on the primary structure located at 1917 University Boulevard in the Druid City Historic District, with the addition that the applicant will come before the Historic Preservation Commission for the March 2024 meeting.
I'll second it.
And then we shall vote. Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
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 With my understanding that failure to comply with this, I think, very good faith request will likely lead to this being sent to the Building Commission for potential condemnation proceedings. I vote yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So, Mr. Fitz, as the envoy for this group, can you please convey to them some of the discussion we had today? If you have any questions or they have any questions, they can please reach out to city staff for any clarification on this, and we shall see them and the application in March. Thank you very much.
Okay, we shall move on to HPC 5523. Jean Poynton petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the addition of windows on the primary structure located at 1220 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property. Here's a view of that primary structure from the street. The adjacent northern property. The adjacent western property. So the proposal is for the addition of windows to the primary structure. The windows will match the same style and design as the existing windows. This property was approved, it may seem pretty familiar, just a few months ago in June for some pretty significant alterations to the primary structure. So here's that house. So these plans are pretty much the same as what you saw before. There is the addition of about 4 windows. So right here on that partial northern elevation, you can see where that window is going to be added. And then this drawing, so these 2 windows here were approved back in June. It's just these 2 windows that are new, and that's what is being proposed this evening, as well as this on that southern elevation. I want to make a clarification to the commission tonight. We did have a little typo in our staff report that said there was going to be some alterations to the east elevation. There are no changes to the east. It is just the north, west, and southern. So the east is where the house is fronting. No changes to the front of the house. So the materials are aluminum-clad windows. Applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
Thank you very much. All right. And so let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
I'm Jean Poynton. I live at 1220 Queen City Avenue.
So, Ms. Poynton, what else would you like to tell the commission about this application?
Well, when we first had it, we didn't have any windows. And then when they took the top windows out, we realized this is really dark. So we went back and added some windows. That's pretty much it.
Are there any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Was there any public comment submitted? Let me open the floor to public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? Let me close the floor to public comment and open up discussion by commission members.
We've already looked at this proposal extensively. It doesn't appear to me that this is going to be a change that really affects the analysis from last time.
Agreed. So hearing no further discussion, we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5523, Gene Poynton petitions for certificate of appropriateness for the addition of windows on the primary structure located at 1220 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote. Let's begin on my left.
Yes.
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 Ms. Poynton, your application has been approved this evening. Should anything else change, please come and see city staff before you move forward with that. But good luck with your application and your project.
Okay, we'll move on to HPC 5623, Zach Thomas petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of windows and for a material change to the siding on the primary structure located at 1621 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property, as well as the vicinity. Here's a view of this property. This may look familiar as we're going through this. The adjacent northern property and adjacent southern property, as well as the western. So the proposal is to replace aluminum sliding windows with fiberglass windows on the greenhouse located in the rear of the primary structure, as well as to enclose the greenhouse with siding matching the exterior of the primary structure. So again, this may look familiar. This was previously approved. There have been some slight changes to the previous approval. So these are the proposed windows. So on the left, you can see what was previously approved and what the current proposal is. What was previously approved were some aluminum windows, and what is being proposed now is fiberglass, so it's a more appropriate material. There is going to be an addition of a door. This is something that we could have approved via expedited review, but since it was coming before you tonight, we just put it on the docket, as well as another door that they are adding with those two windows. And they're going to add a window on the primary structure. Just a few more views. So materials are those fiberglass windows as well as hardy board siding. Here are those material spec sheets for the windows. Applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
It appears we have none. Thank you. Let me invite the applicant to come to the podium, please, and if you could state your name and address, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Robert Zach Thomas. I'm the resident of 621 Queen City Avenue.
So, Mr. Thomas, do you want to tell us anything more about the application?
Sure.
And what's going on here?
First off, thanks to the commission for bringing our case forward today to discuss. So last year, I came before the commission to discuss the change that was referenced by city staff to replace what is like a fiberglass siding and aluminum windows with a screen window design that was coming from a vendor. That vendor no longer produces that window design, and so we decided to pivot and change our material to a fiberglass window produced in town by Colby, and reside the structure as planned before. And concurrently, we also wanted to take the recommendation of the HPC last year with residing what we call the kitchen part of the structure, the house. There's old asbestos siding there, which is in good shape, but we decided that residing it with with hardy board to match the rest of the structure, the same facing, same dimensions as the rest of the building might look more appropriate and be more attractive. And so that's what we're proposing today. And lastly is that we want to add a casement window to what we call the kitchen, facing eastward, to allow more light into the primary structure and create a more dynamic kitchen space for us to enjoy.
Are there any questions for Mr. Thomas? We have no questions for you right now, so thank you very much.
Very good.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
explanation. Was there any submitted public comment? Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? All right, then let's open it up to the commission.
Previously, it took a little bit of, rationalization, for lack of a better term, because of this greenhouse structure, but all of the modifications to the previous case are steps in the right direction toward more, toward stronger conformance with the guidelines, in my opinion.
I agree. I like the replacement of the siding with profile and height that matches the rest of the structure. I think that's a really sensitive move. Yep. So that sounds like we have a standing motion to approve. All right, so standing motion to approve HPC 5623, Zach Thomas petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of windows and for a material change to the siding on the primary structure located at 621 Queen City Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote. Am I right, please?
Yes.
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 Mr. Thomas, your application has been approved. Good luck with the project. Should anything else change, please see city staff before you move forward, and good luck. You're welcome.
Moving on to HPC 5723, Harrison Freeman petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a material change to the windows and design change to the roof on the primary structure, as well as for the removal of a front yard fence on the property located at 1400 13th Street in the 13th Street Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that structure, as well as the vicinity. The unique thing about this property is it is the only historically designated property in this area. So that's why this looks a little bit weird. So here is a view of that primary structure, the adjacent southern property. And this is located next to a multifamily apartment that is not historic. So the proposal is to remove and dispose of an existing front yard fence, to replace existing shingle roof with a new shingle roof, as well as to replace 22 of the 27 windows on the primary structure with a new material. So I'm just going to show you a few views of this structure. The plan with the siding is to take a pressure washer to pressure wash all of that paint off, and they are going to replace as needed with the siding. Here are those existing windows. As well as that front yard fence that's proposed to be removed. The materials are a PVC sash kit for the windows and asphalt shingles for the roof. The material spec sheets for the windows, as well as for the roof. Applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
So the understanding is just the sashes are being replaced.
Correct.
All the light patterns are staying the same.
Correct.
Any other questions for staff? All right. Thank you so much. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up, please. And can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. Harrison Freeman, 1400 13th Street.
So, Mr. Freeman, what else can you tell us about the project?
Sure. I mean, we're pretty much doing everything on the outside and inside of this house. We're gonna, completely renovate it, bring it up to the neighborhood standard. The siding, despite how it looks, is in excellent shape. So we shouldn't have to have any kind of change of materials, but just replacing the sashes of the windows. We've got 22 of the windows, and it's the 3 bar sashes that are coming back. Same exact design. We're keeping the 2 original bookcase windows, which are kind of unique to the property. They're, I guess, double pane windows. We're keeping those, repairing those. And then any of the big bay windows, we're keeping those as well. They're unique to the property. The roof right now is a 3-tab roof, just a normal brick pattern 3-tab. We're gonna come back with just the normal architectural style. It's currently a charcoal gray. We wanna come back with a pewter gray.
Are there any questions for Mr. Freeman? Really glad to see this house getting some TLC, and I know you're doing a lot of work on this, but it's a nice structure, and it has needed it for a while, so I was happy to see it show up on our docket tonight. So
It's a
thank you.
beautiful house.
I bet. Thank you for that. No other questions? Well, have a seat, and if something comes up, we'll invite you back.
All right, thank you.
Public comment. Anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to it? Hearing nothing, we've had nothing submitted. I will close the floor to public comment, and let's have the commission members discuss this application. This poor house has needed this attention for a long time, so it's finally getting it. It's nice to hear.
I think it's been deliberately neglected, so it's very nice that it's been caught at a time when it's still salvageable.
Exactly. And everything's appropriate. And the removal of that fence, glad to see that as well. I think that'll open things up nicely. So hearing very little discussion on this, we do have a standing motion to approve HPC 5723, Harrison Freeman petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a material change to the windows and design change to the roof on the primary structure and for the removal of a front yard fence on the property located at 1400 13th Street in the 13th Street Historic District, Council District 4. And we shall vote. Dr. Nelson, please.
Yes.
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 Mr. Freeman, your application has been approved this evening. If anything comes up and you need to change what was approved this evening, please see city staff first before you move ahead. Good luck with the project.
Okay, moving on to HPC 5823. Annabelle Reagan petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a material change to the siding and for the removal of a chimney on the primary structure located at 2010 Paul Bryant Drive in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property. This is right off Alman Ave. Here's a view of that primary structure. The adjacent eastern property. And on the other side is the Family Counseling Center, just so you know exactly where this is. So the proposal is for new siding on the primary structure and to remove an existing chimney that is in the rear of the primary structure. So this chimney that you're seeing in the front is not being removed. It is going to remain. We're just going to go around this property. You can get some pictures of exactly what we're looking at with that siding. And these are some pictures that were submitted by the petitioner. So you can see the back of the house is where that chimney is. So in this picture specifically, you can see that the chimney is actually enclosed by a wall on the interior. So it is not functional, and they are proposing to remove it. They included some nice pictures of what that is gonna look like when the chimney is removed, if that is approved. The front chimney is staying. That is something that was actually mentioned in the historical survey of the property. The materials are hardy board siding, applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
What is the condition of the current siding?
I'll let the petitioner talk about it a little bit more. This house has not had very much work done on it over the past few years. There was a approval maybe a year ago to add a staircase on the exterior, but at that point there was nothing done to the siding.
And it looked like some work had already been done, or?
Some work had been done by the previous owner. Mm-hmm. You have any more questions?
And the assumption is that the siding that they're proposing matches what's existing.
Oh, I believe so. They can talk about it a little bit more.
Sure. Any other questions for staff? Thank you so much. Let me invite the applicant to step forward, please. And we'll need your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, yes, my name's Annabelle Reagan. I live at 302 Queen City Avenue. So, like she had mentioned earlier, so there's the front chimney, that one's staying, that one's completely usable. It's that back chimney that it's been affected now by fallen limbs. I guess it could stay for looks, but there really is no, I'm assuming it was some sort of like a hearth, like a heating function, I don't know, but at this point, it's just sort of taking up space in the kitchen and the laundry room. So I just kind of wanted to see if we could get that out. It's kind of just weight on the roof at this point. There's really not much of a use for it. I mean, there's nothing we could really do.
Right, it has no function.
Yeah, and the other chimney y'all did see, it has a big fireplace with everything. So that, I mean, you get the chimney, or the fireplace is still in there. But yeah, we had 2 people come out, look at it. Both said there's really nothing we can, I guess we could cap it off, like put, bricks over it and just make it kind of like just kind of for view, like for looks. Or they said, just take it down, put roofing back over it,
And that's what you
yeah, that's
are
what we're
proposing.
proposing, yes.
Got it. And then tell us about the siding.
So yes, so you can see kind of in this bottom right photo, it's got the yellow versus the white. So that's hardy board. And you can see right on the front, that is cedar planking, which some of it in the front is in okay condition. It's the back and the side that we're not seeing. I'm not sure if there's a picture of the other side, but you can kind of see, I mean, you can just get the idea of how kind of rotted and neglected it's been. So I'd like to just match it to that one side you can see from Paul Bryant.
So do I understand that you want to keep the siding and the front, that front facade, the Paul Bryant side?
Yes.
You're going to keep that wood siding and then replace?
Just the front can stay. We're gonna try to just scrape. As you can see, kind of some of the fascia is gonna be replaced. A lot of it's rotted, but yeah, the front is good to stay. Just needs to be scraped. It's mostly the other sides that's kind of in question.
Right, and so the hardy board will just match
Yes.
the existing wood that you're keeping?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for trying to keep the front.
Yeah,
If you run into problems and you can talk to city staff. I don't know exactly what they can improve administratively, but.
Yeah, and I think it'll look just about this. I mean, it'll match what's there in the yellow. Obviously the cedar plank would be ideal, but I don't even know if you can buy that anymore. So that's kind of where we're at, and that's the chimney that is staying. It's functional.
Are there any other comments?
Just one other question. The
Yes.
chimney that you're planning on removing, you're taking it all the way down or just from the roof line up?
I'm thinking just from the roof along up. We're gonna try to open up and see what that looks like. We had done 801 Queen City a year or 2 ago, and when we got to they had a similar kind of structure in the kitchen that had the roof portion removed. It wasn't removable. It really was just too in the structure. I guess once we open up the drywall and see, that would kind of be where we'd make that. I wanted to start on the outside first, because that's where a big portion of the TLC is needed. The inside's not nearly as dilapidated. So
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Any other questions? Well, Ms. Reagan, thanks so much.
Thank y'all.
You may have a seat, and if something comes up, we'll bring you back. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Then I'll close the floor to public comment and open up discussion with commission members. I think Mr. Cox hit it on the head where he said that it's great to see that they're preserving that wood in the front. Appreciate that. Everything seems appropriate here.
I mean, short of this chimney removal, it's really what we've approved before. So, and especially in light of the fact that the historic survey mentions the one that's remaining and makes no mention of the one that's to be removed, I see no issue with that.
All righty. So we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5823. Annabelle Reagan petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for material change to the siding and for the removal of a chimney on the primary structure on the property located at 2010 Paul W. Bryant Drive in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote, beginning on my right, please.
Yes.
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 Ms. Reagan, good luck with your project. Should anything change, you discover something, please see city staff before you move forward, but we wish you best of luck.
Okay, HPC 5923, Omar Avenida petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition and reconstruction of an existing deck on the property located at 1817 University Boulevard in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property. So this property is the existing La Hacienda. It was formerly Pizza Hut. So the proposal is for the demolition and reconstruction of an existing deteriorating deck. The deck will be made of Trex material, which is a form of composite wood. The deck will be covered by a metal roof, as well as metal handrails will be installed. The existing building has a metal roof, so it will be carried over onto cover for this deck. The existing ramp at the entrance of the deck will also be extended closer to the front of the property for more accessibility. So again, here's a view of that primary structure, and we're just going to go around to the side of where this deck is. So here's that existing deck today. And you can see a view of what that roof looks like. So these are the proposed elevations. You can see the continuation of that metal roof as a covering. Materials, again, are that Trex composite wood decking as well as a metal roof. The applicant actually provided that is what Trex is. He brought it to city staff so you can kind of see it, see exactly what that deck is going to be made of. In the downtown area, this is a pretty common material to be used. Taco Mama actually just redid their deck with a very similar material. The idea behind it is that it is more fire retardant than a wood, and it is also more stable over time. The applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
I do. What did you find that the National Historical Record stated about the former Pizza Hut location in terms of calling out its historical features?
Well, we'll pull up the actual historical survey. It's very interesting of the fact that it was built in the 1980s, I believe. I think we were all shocked to see that this Pizza Hut is considered a historical structure. It's not contributing, but it is historically designated. I will say it did note the architectural symbology of the roof line and the way that is kind of laid out, which is unique to the Pizza Huts.
Well, I guess the merit of it is that it lands in a designated area, not on its own particular merits.
Correct. It is not, it doesn't meet any historical architectural designations. It's just the building itself is within the Druid City Historic District.
Awesome. Thank you. Good question. Glad we got that out there. Any other questions for city staff? And has everybody seen the piece of Trex? Has it been floating down that way? Yep, good. All right. Thank you very much. Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come forward, please. Good evening, gentlemen. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Omar Avianeta, 4100 Churchill Lane.
Thank you.
Jimmy Henry on Superior Painting.
Thank you. So, gentlemen, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the application?
No, not really. Just trying to improve it. The deck is really wore out right now, so we have to renovate it. And the roof is just actually to get more seating out there when it's just drizzling out there.
Right.
It's small in the inside, so want to get more seating out there. That's it.
And that makes sense, and the roof is going to match the existing roof. Do commission members have any questions? Well, thank you very much. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? All right, let me close the floor to public comment. Commission members, what do we think here? The changes all make sense? Approved materials?
In all seriousness, I mean, it is a vast improvement over the structure that it's replacing.
Indeed.
From a material standpoint and in appearance.
Absolutely.
And always appreciate this local business investing in our community and improving their customer experience for everybody downtown.
So we have a standing motion to approve HPC 5923 Omar Avellaneda petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition and reconstruction of an existing deck on the property located at 1817 University Boulevard in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote. Let's start on my right.
Yes.
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 Gentlemen, your application has been approved. Should anything change, please see city staff before you move forward, but good luck with the project.
Okay, we will move on to HPC 6023, Legacy Construction and Design LLC, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a material change to the roof on the property located at 1416 7th Street in the 7th Street Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property. It's right off Gene Stallings. Here is a view of that primary structure, the adjacent western property. So the proposal is for the replacement of an existing asbestos roof with a new shingle roof. So we'll go around and just show you some pictures of what that existing asbestos roof looks like today. The unique thing about this roof is there's actually a metal portion of this roof of the actual structure itself, so it's kind of a mixture. You can see a little bit of where not only do we got a mixture of roof types on this, but this specific area is that existing asbestos. So they are proposing timberline shingle, and here is that material spec sheet. Applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
And it's just the asbestos roof.
Correct. They are just replacing the asbestos roof with this timberline shingle.
Was a discussion of I can't remember the term in the historic description of the roof, crested, I think, with the tile, and you can see it in those. Is that to be maintained?
I'll let the applicant discuss that.
It comes across the top line, and then I think it comes down the back where the angle is in the back. You can see it there.
This specifically?
It's there and to the left, I think. Or is that another material? I think that's another material.
I'll let the applicant speak on that if that's okay. But that's a good question.
That's metal there, but it's crested tile.
I do see what you're talking about with the tile.
It's a nice feature, too. Very subtle, but it's nice. Any other questions for city staff? Thank you so much. Let me invite the applicant to step forward, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Jazz Gunner, 1416 7th Street.
So we've had a question come up about that crested tile.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep that?
So I don't know that we'll be able to salvage it just due to the condition. We will actually have to remove them in order to take the shingles off, as well as the metal structure on the back. I believe that metal is over the existing asbestos shingles, and for that reason, we'll have to remove the metal as well and it'll likely be the same as the shingles that'll be placed on where the asbestos roof is currently. We will also replace the shingles on the front structure, on the front porch, to match the new shingles that we'll put on where the asbestos shingles are, so.
Thank you for that clarification. So the front porch that we see here, the asbestos roof, and then that metal, little bit of metal roof that we see
Yes,
inside the
ma'am.
photo, that's also going to be,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Well, that'll give a nice consistency
Yeah.
to the roof materials.
Yeah, they got a few things going on there, so.
Now, what are those ridge tiles made out of? Do you know?
It's like a terracotta, is what it's called.
Yeah.
Just like almost like something you put a plant in. as
Sure,
far as a pot
sure.
goes.
Now, we had a.
Clay tiles.
We had a house on University Boulevard where the whole roof of the house was terracotta
Yeah.
tiles, sort of this type. And they took them off and cleaned them up and put them back on. Do you think that would be possible with these, or?
I mean, we could try. I didn't go when I did the inspection on the roof, I didn't feel comfortable going all the way to the ridge or even stepping on the roof because I wasn't sure of the condition. Because there were several holes in there, so that led me to believe that water was in there, and it probably rotten some decking in there. So, but as far as the tiles goes, if we can save them, they're a great accent to the roof. But as far as helping it in a sense of fortifying it from getting damage, it's not really.
At the ridge of the roof, is there going to be a roof vent, or do the shingles just go over the top?
There will be a ridge vent. It's called a Cobra 3 ridge vent. It's a hard weatherproof plastic that's nailed in with 3-inch rib nails, and then there will be shingles, ridge cap shingles, nailed into the top of it to match the color of the shingles on the field.
So with a ridge vent, those tiles wouldn't work, right? You wouldn't
Correct.
have the correct.
Correct. You wouldn't necessarily have the proper ventilation that was needed to vent the new product that was going to be on the roof.
Well, I was just thinking too of the profile. The new profile might be different. The
Right.
tiles won't sit on it correctly.
Right. So you wouldn't be able to put the ridge vent on there if you put the tiles on,
Right.
or the tiles on there. It's one or the other.
Well, that's helpful to know. That's a good observation, good comment. Are there other comments, questions? I do think that I've always been a fan of these terracotta ridge tiles, but they are, I think, kind of specific to that style of roof, right? That really nice pattern that we have with the asbestos shingles. And that will be gone, and I don't know that those terracotta tiles will look so appropriate with the new proposed shingle. Perhaps those ridge tiles can be preserved or salvaged in some way so they can be rehomed. I don't know. It's not really our concern, but I just think with these changes happening to this roof, I'm not sure that the ridge tiles will be, number one, aesthetically appropriate and functionally appropriate.
I mean, the alternative to omitting the ridge vent is to start cutting in additional vents into the roof that are then start to introduce yet more elements here that are not historically accurate. Or
Right. So do I understand?
Could you repeat that for those of us at this side of the room?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was speaking into the.
can't
So it's if you were to omit the ridge vent, then you would need to, in order to get a warranty on this roof, you'd have to have some sort of vent the whirlybirds or some other type of venting toward the top. That then, that's another element that is not really accurate or appropriate.
So
In my opinion.
Yes. No, that was helpful. That's very helpful. Thoughts? Any other questions?
I have to say I'm sad that this type of roof has to be updated because it's such a defining feature of this house.
It is.
I
I agree
understand
with you.
that this style of shingle is not really made anymore, and were it where it's still made, or where that part of the design, I would have wanted the cap, the ridge tile to remain with it. But I also think requiring the ridge tile to stay with the updated, architectural style shingle would look a little anachronistic and out of place.
Agreed. But I do love the pattern of that roof, and it is a shame it's not made anymore. Thank you for that comment. Any other comments? Thank you very much. Let me see if there's anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application. I'll close the floor to public comment and open the floor to discussion by commission members. I think, Dr. Davis, that was a great observation on those ridge tiles. I had not noticed those before. I do appreciate the comments that have come up, though, with the change in the roof material, right? The shingles we're going with now, and the way the roof has to be made, and all of these sorts of things. I don't know that it's appropriate to try to maintain those ridge tiles here, aesthetically or functionally. Are there any other questions or comments? So we have a standing motion to approve. We're all good? Okay. HPC 6023, Legacy Construction and Design LLC petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for material change to the roof on the property located at 1416 7th Street in the 7th Street Historic District, Council District 4. We shall vote. On my left, please. Dr. Nelson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Congratulations, your application has been approved. Should anything change, please see city staff. Good luck with the project.
Okay, Commission, this is the last case for tonight, HPC 6123. Lee Belter petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a design change to a gate on the property located at 1300 17th Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property, vicinity. Here's a view of that primary structure, the adjacent eastern property, adjacent southern property. So the proposal is to keep a new gate design on an existing fence that was recently constructed. Here is that existing fence as it sits today. I will note that this fence is currently located in the city's right-of-way, so it will have to be moved back to the property line. And this is showing exactly how the fence is sitting now. So here is where the fence is sitting currently. As you can see, it's in the right-of-way. And this is where it's going to be exactly on the property line. And here's a view of what that prior gate, the design of it was, and what the proposal is today. It's just to maintain the congruity of the fence as it sits today. This is a wood gate and the applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
The gate you showed was the prior one?
So the one on the right is the prior gate as well as the fence. So that's what it used to look like. The new updated fence is on the left. So that it's going to look exactly the same. It's just going to be shifted back onto their property line, and that's required.
Because this fence was constructed without prior approval.
So
correct?
the staff worked with the property owner to be able to do this via expedited review. Unfortunately, because the fence was placed closer to the road, it was put in the right-of-way. The only way to maintain a fence in the right-of-way is through a right-of-way use permit that is subject to the approval of city council. So that is something that they chose not to move forward with. Rather, we agreed, city staff as well as the property owner agreed that it would be moved back to private property. So the only real change that needed to be approved is for the gate design.
Okay, so
And the gate design's going to stay the way it is? Or?
It's going to stay how it is here on the left.
Okay.
So that's why it is before you, because it's a change in design from the original gate to what they are proposing now.
Right, and the prior approval, the expedited review
Was
with-
for it to be exactly the same as what it was
Okay.
before. So the proposal was to just replace this to look exactly the
Okay.
same as it was before. So that's why it originally was done via expedited review.
Oh, thank you for that clarification, appreciate that. Any questions for city staff? Thanks so much. All right, let me invite the applicant to come forward, please. And we'll need your name and address for the record, please.
Lee Belcher, 1300 17th Avenue.
Is there anything else, Ms. Belcher, you'd like to tell us about the application?
Only that miscommunication with the fence builder is how it happened to be back in its new estate. But we've enjoyed the privacy part of that because our master bedroom sits right behind that fence, and we have a big sliding glass door window there. And so the reason to ask for it to stay as it is currently now is just to help with the privacy.
Are there any other questions? Very straightforward. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Is there anybody here to speak in support of or opposition to this application? Seeing none, let me close the floor to public comment and open the floor to discussion by the commission. I actually think it looks a little bit cleaner with this change in that gate.
Well, and the gate, it is probably 10 or 12 years old. It was never attractive, and frankly, it wasn't functional. As you can see, it has a little...
Right. Is there any other comments on this?
This does not appear to be historical in nature.
Thank you. All right, so we have a standing motion to approve HPC 6123 Lee Belcher petitions for a certificate of appropriateness for a design change to the gate on the property located at 1300 17th Avenue in the Druid City Historic District, Council District 4. We will begin voting on my right, please.
Yes.
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 Ms. Belcher, your application has been approved. Good luck with moving the fence, and if anything else changes, see city staff before you proceed, and good luck.
Commission, just a couple more things for you. The historic expedited reviews that we've had since the last HPC meeting has been 10 approvals. We also sent you a copy of the proposed 2024 calendar meeting dates. You've had a chance to review those, and we'll just need a motion in a second to be able to approve them if everyone is okay with it.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second? All right, let's vote. Dr. Nelson?
Yes.
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 And the dates have been approved, and deadlines. And that concludes this month's hearing of the Tuscaloosa Historic Preservation Commission. Thank you, everyone.